Hello everyone. Apologies for the delay. There was a technical issue. So we are starting now. Just wanted to quickly check if you can hear me clearly or not. If you can, I would request you to put a yes in the chat box and we'll get started. If you all can hear me, please. Okay, I can see that you all can hear me. That's great. So let's get started. Let me very quickly share my screen. Okay. Um I hope all of you can see my screen too. So first of all, very quickly, let me introduce myself. Uh, my name is Saqib and I am going to be your host today. I'm the product lead as well as the co-founder at GMAT and I'm also the principal architect of the course that you see on the platform. I've been actively involved in building it. So those of you who haven't tried it, I would highly recommend that you give it a shot. I've been in this tech industry for close to 11 years now, and I've taken the GMAT myself and a CAT also. Those of you who are from India might be knowing this about this exam, and I love teaching quant. And the purpose of taking these webinars is to make sure that we can simplify concepts, especially the ones where people struggle or have difficulty in, and make sure that you are able to solve most of the 7-level questions easily of these difficult topics also. So the webinar would be conducted in a similar fashion where we are going to spend about 60 to 80 minutes, depending on the discussion that we have today, where we'll discuss a few topics of all the main important topics of statistics, mean, median, standard deviation. And I'm going to touch upon a few important concepts, different variations that are quite frequently tested in the exam. Okay, and I'll keep about 5 to 10 minutes at the end in case if you have any queries. And these queries could be anything, could be related to GMAT prep, quant prep, could be related to anything that we have discussed in the webinar and you want some clarification on it. Please feel free to ask me any questions in the last 10 minutes. Now, before I get started, I would want some inputs from you. If you've gone through the topic of statistics, can you tell me what are the major issues or challenges that you face in this topic? What is the main challenge that you face in this particular topic? Okay, and you say standard deviation. What about the others? In my opinion, honestly, I feel questions that have a mix of everything, that is mean, median, standard deviation involved. Those are the questions where people face most of the challenge. So there would be some obviously easy questions, ones such as mean, median, mode, which come in silos individually, these would be easy to solve. Okay, you should not face any problem if you get any standard direct questions from these. The problem starts when as Anish mentioned, standard deviation is something where people struggle with. Okay. Questions which are based on maxima-minima. So I have a few questions based on this, where they will give you information about mean, some information maybe about median, and at the same time, you will get some information about standard deviation also. And then ask you to maximize or minimize a particular value. And these are important questions. You'll find a few questions in the official guide also, which are based on this, and some GMAT prep questions. And effective constants are also sometimes tested in some DSPS questions where They'll tell you that a particular quantity has been added or subtracted from all the entities. How will the standard deviation, or how will the mean or median change based on the addition or subtraction of constants? Since this is a topic where it might be slightly difficult for you to solve questions if you don't have any background in it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover each and every topic briefly, very briefly. Understand that it's not possible to to go through all the topics in detail, but I'll give you enough information that you will be at least be able to in a position to attempt questions even if you're doing this topic for the first time. Okay. So we'll start with the most basic concept, which is mean. Now, the definition of mean is pretty simple. If you want to find out mean, you simply add up the numbers and you divide it by the total number of elements. So if I give you 1, 5, 7, 9, 10, something like this, and if I tell you, hey, add this up, all you need to find the mean of this. If I ask you this, all you need to do is simply add 1, 5, 7, 9, 10, add all these values and divide it by the number of terms that you have. So how many terms do you have? You have 5 terms, so you divide it by 5 and you get your mean. Now, in most of the questions, you might have to use the formula in a slightly different way, where the mean might be given to you and the total of terms might also be given to you. And this is basically coming from here only. We're just shifting the total number of elements to the other side. Okay, so we can find out the sum of the elements using this particular formula. And in my opinion, I've seen this used a lot, where you might be, you especially use this formula to find out the value of some unknown element. And to understand this, I'll give you a very basic question. You can give it a shot and you can tell me what would be the answer in this case. I'll give you about a minute to do this. Uh, you see these two formula that you have in front of you and try and see if you can apply the formula and solve this question. Once you're done doing it, you can put in your response in the chat box only. This is just a very basic question, very rare chance of coming in the exam, but it's a good starting point according to me. Okay, intelligent investor is asking how many questions are asked from this topic in the actual exam. See, difficult to predict, honestly speaking, because there's no fixed number as such. But it is an important topic, and we have, like, at least a year back, I used to see at least 2 to 3 questions from it, bare minimum. Okay, so that's what you can expect roughly. Could be more, could be less, but 2 to 3 definitely possible. Okay, Alok is saying 9. I've got two more answers. Both of them are 9 only, which is in fact the correct answer. So, see, this is the question where you have been given how many terms? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 terms. And you have been told that the mean is 7. So here you can use either this form of the formula or this form of the formula, doesn't matter. Both of will give the same result. How do you find out the mean? You add up all the terms 2, 5, 9, 7, x, and 10. Okay. And you divide it by the total number of terms, which is 6 in this case. And this has been given as 7. Okay. So if you take 6 to the other side, you will get 42. And if you add this up, this is 7, 7, 14, and 10, 24. 24 plus 9 is 33. So 33 plus x. And from here that you can get the answer very easily, that this would be 9. So fairly easy question, right? Now, the same concept can be applied in a slightly different way. And I want you to try out this particular question now. And can anyone tell me what would be the answer in this case? Again, I'll give you a minute to do this one. In the meantime, if you have any question related to, question 1, if there's anything that you haven't understood, please feel free to ask. Okay, I can see all of you are saying C, which is in fact the correct answer, which is good. Okay, I can see a 32 also. Somebody's saying 32. Okay, so in fact, there's another answer which is possible, which I have seen a lot of students mark, which is I've seen people do this. In fact, let's read the question once. Here, there's saying that the average weight of 15 students is 48, and the and a new student whose weight is 32 kg joins the class. I need to find out the new average weight. Okay, so I've seen a lot of people do this. They take 48, which is the average, and if some entity new is added to it, they simply add 30 to it and divide it by 2, saying there's one more entity being added. I'm trying to find out the average, so let me do something like this. Okay, and you would end up getting an 80 by 2, and a lot of people end up marking B as the answer, which obviously is incorrect. Please understand, incorrect. When you're trying to find out the average, okay, always remember the main formula. How do you find out the mean on average? The mean involves the sum of all the elements, the total elements. Okay, it is not the sum of the averages or anything like that. So this is where the second formula comes into picture. So if I have to find the new mean, okay, I would need the total weight, right? And I have to divide it by the total number of elements. There were 15 students, one more student joined, so total number of students is 16. But how do you find out the total weight? Okay, so total weight would be, first of all, I need to find out what is the weight of these 15 students. How do I do that? I'll do that by using this formula. I'll say that the total weight is going to be mean, which is 48 in this case, and total number of elements, which is 15. So the total weight is going to be 48 times 15 for the initial 15 students, and 32 kg you'll add to it because a new student was introduced. So now the new mean would become 48 times 15 plus 32 by 16. Notice one thing, though I know it's a class of statistics and we don't have to talk about a lot about simplification, but I did not multiply this. I did not multiply, I did not add it to get my answer. Okay, what you can simply do here is notice that both these terms have 16 in common. So if you want, you can take out 16 common from both the terms and cancel that out first. So now you have 15 times 3, which is 45, 45 plus 2, which is 47. So the correct answer in this case would then become option C. Okay, so the main crux, the main thing which I want to point out here is that if in a difficult question, if a lot of averages are given, and then if you're trying to find out the new average, first of all, find out the sum. Because to find out the new mean, you'll always need the total sum before you can do anything else. Don't make the mistake of doing 48 plus 32 by 2 or something like this. Don't do the average of the averages because that would be completely incorrect. Okay, so I hope this is clear. If you have any questions, any doubts, please feel free to ask. Um, Else, I will give you your first official question, GMAT-like question. Any questions? Okay, I don't see any questions in the chat box. If you have any, feel free to ask. In the meantime, you can try out your first question. Now, the only thing which I would request here is that, guys, once you're done with it, please make sure that you don't put the answer in the chat box. Wait, I'll tell you when to put the answer in the chat box. Okay, so I'll give you about 2.5 minutes to do it. Once I say the time's up, then only post your answer in the chat box. Okay. Okay, Rohan is asking what happens if you multiply. Rohan, can you elaborate? What do you mean by what do you want to multiply? You want to multiply 48 and 15? This part you can multiply, that's not a problem. All I'm trying to say is that you, if you multiply and add, then after multiplying and adding also you'll have to, 48 times 15 plus 32 by 16, you will first put in effort to multiply it. Okay, then you'll put in effort to add it, and then you'll put in effort to cancel. So why do 3 steps when you can, just get the answer in one shot by canceling the 16 from the individual terms and then adding? That's much more easy, right? So that is why I did not multiply it. So I'm trying to save my time doing calculations, nothing else. Okay. So guys, try out this question. You have about 2 minutes for this one. Yeah, this will obviously work, Rohan. Okay, I hope that answers your query, Rohan. Okay. Keep in mind, no fancy formulas, just one formula, mean is equal to sum by total number of terms. That is all you need to use. Obviously, there are 2 to 3 scenarios, so you may have to apply the formula 2 to 3 times. That's all. You have about 30 seconds more. Post that, I would say people who are done, you can start posting your responses. Okay, those of you who are done can start posting responses. Okay, I can see a lot of B's. Okay, those of you who are doing or couldn't do it, did you find this difficult? If yes, what did you find challenging out here? I'll give about another 30 seconds and then I'll start the discussion. In the meantime, if anyone else wants to put in the response, please do so. Also, those of you who are done, what do you think? Okay, Shiv says it's lengthy. Uh, yeah, I do agree it is slightly lengthy. Correct. But I deliberately chose this question just to show you that you can get a 700 level question, which, doesn't involve a lot of it does involve a little bit of complexity, to be honest, but the formula that you are going to use here is just, a very plain simple one to get the answer in this case. Okay, so okay, time's up, guys. I've given you a lot of time. I can see two different answers. Some of you are saying 18 and I one of you are saying 23. So let's see how we can solve this question, and I'm going to break down the the whole question stem slowly, steadily, telling you how you need to jot down all the information. I am either going to use the formula mean is equal to sum by the total number of terms, or I'm going to use the variation of this formula sum is equal to mean times n. But only these two to get my answer. Okay. So let's read the first sentence. It says in January, the average weight of monkeys in a certain zoo is k kgs. Okay. So there are a certain number of monkeys in, I don't know how many. So if I want to assume something, I can assume. If I don't want to, I can just simply leave it like this and say average weight is so far k kgs. Okay, in January. Okay, a new monkey of weight 34 kgs was brought to the zoo, and the average weight of the monkeys increased by 1 kg. Now notice here, see this part is exactly similar to what we discussed in the previous question, right? Now there in the second situation says that a new monkey is being added. The weight of the new monkey is 34. Okay, and the average weight increases by 1. So now the average weight would become how much? We already have k. The average weight would become k plus 1. And how many monkey was added? Only one monkey was added. So at this point of time, it makes sense for you to assume your number of monkeys to be something. So you can take your number of monkeys as n. Okay, and now you can say now the number of monkeys is going to be n plus 1. Okay, so average weight is this, number of monkeys is this. Okay, and I will do the calculation, but I just want to jot down all the information that is given. Now in Feb, so there's another scenario coming up in Feb. Two more new monkeys of weight 24 and 32 were added. Okay, so two new monkeys are added, 24 and 32. Were brought to the zoo such that the average of the monkeys further increased by 1. Great. So now they are telling me that the average weight now becomes, it again increases by 1. So it was already k plus 1. Now it became k plus 2. Now how many monkeys are there? Number of monkeys now are, we had n plus 1. Two more were added. So this becomes n plus 3. Now think about it in this way. If there are n monkeys, what else is given, by the way? Let's look at that. If the weight of no monkey changed in these ones, what is the value of k? Okay, so I'm looking for k. That's it. I don't have any other information with me. Okay, so number of monkeys, average weight is given. Number of monkeys and average weight is given. So I can find out my sum. I can find out the sum of weight, which is going to be the product of these two, n times k, right? There's nothing else that I can do. Now, if I multiply these two, average weight into the number of monkeys, this would give me again the sum of weight, which is going to be k plus 1 times n plus 1. Now, can I say that this weight that I have here, okay, this is nothing but n times k, which we already had, and I added a monkey with a weight of 34 to it. Okay, this sum of weight has to be equal to k plus 1 times n plus 1. Is this part clear? Before moving on, I would want to be sure that this is 100% clear. If you have any questions here, please ask. By the way, Abhijit, the question level is 700. If you have no questions, no doubts till this point, you can just quickly say yes, and then I can move on to the next part. Because see, somehow I have to find out relation between these two, right? So the first relation can be built in this way, that I had n times k, I added 34, and I am getting my new weight. Okay, so I can see that you're saying that this is clear, which is fine. So this is my first equation. I can simplify it, but I'm leaving it for a moment. Now think in this way also. You have n plus k, and you added 1 monkey, 2 monkey, 3 monkey. If I add all of this up, n times k plus 34 plus 24 plus 32, this should be equal to the sum of weight. How can I get a sum of weight in this case? I can get the sum of weight again using the same formula. See, I'm using the same formula, and I'm saying the sum of all the weights should be equal to k plus 2 times n plus 3. Has to be, right? So we have two variables n and k, and I have managed to set up two equations. Obviously, I'll be simplifying it, but this is the way I can set up my two equations. So the main learning that you need to take here is that if you are in a situation where the average is already given, number of terms is already given, there's a good chance that you'll have to use the sum formula to set up your equation. Now, you can simplify it. Okay. If you simplify it, you will get k plus n plus k times n plus 1. K and kn would cancel out, and your first equation would be k plus n equal to 33. That's your first equation. And if you solve this, how much would you get here? 30, 60, 80, 90 is what you're going to get here. And this is going to be nk plus 3k plus 2n plus 6. Again, nk and k would get cancelled out, and you will set up an equation which is 2n plus 3k is equal to 84. Okay, so now you have two equations. You're looking for the value of k, right? So that means we need to get rid of n. So let's do that quickly. K plus n is 30. Oops, my bad. 33, and you have 2n plus 3k is equal to 84. You need to get rid of n. So multiply this by 2, and you'll get an equation 2k plus 2n is equal to 66. You cancel this out and you get the value of k as 18. So the correct answer is option B, which most of you got correct, which is good. If you have any doubts, please ask. Okay, Dali is saying again, please, can you tell me which part wasn't clear? What part wasn't clear? Look at this case. Compare it to this case. What did we do in the sample question? When a new entity was added, what did we do? We multiplied 15 times 48 times 15, and we added 32 to get the new weight, right? Now I'm doing the same thing here. I had n times k already. The new weight that was added was 34. So I can get the total weight. The total weight I can also get by using the formula of sum and mean. So sum is equal to mean times n. The mean is already given as k plus 1, and the number of entities already given as n plus 1. So we can multiply these two to get the sum again. And these two sum obviously needs to be the same. Okay. Okay, great. Part home. I'm not a there are only few kind of questions where I usually advocate using options. So that is why I'm not saying that you should try and look for the whether to see whether you can get the answer using the options or not. If you were able to get the answer using options in some way, well, well and good. But ideally in this case, I would not prefer going the same route. Okay. And Parth, as I told you in the starting, I'm giving this question only to kind of show you that you can get the answer using just S is equal to M into N. That's the main purpose. There could be some questions where options could be used, but I would prefer not using it in this one. Okay. And honestly, I would say the only part which is complex in this case is just setting up this equation. If you look at the equations, just realizing that you have to add this up and equate it is the only tough part out here. Post that, if you look at the calculations are pretty simple, 2-line calculations, which is not going to take a lot of time. Okay. If, for example, Soham and Parth, if you're interested in learning those kind of methodologies where you want to use options, or if you want to use the method of, where there are a lot of other methodologies also that you can use to find the values, average or mean, then I would recommend looking at the statistics with lesson 1, where we have talked about some advanced concepts also of mean, which I am at this point not covering, but if you want to go more into deep and we want to figure out how you can get the answers much more faster in some of the cases, then you should definitely look at this part of the lesson. This, by the way, just to add here, and this goes for everyone, even if you don't know this number distribution method to solve that question, doesn't mean that you won't be able to solve mean questions. All mean questions can still be solved using this methodology 100% without any problems. The only difference is of 10 to 15 seconds here and there. This methodology is more conceptual in nature. So those of you are already very good with or very comfortable with the formula of mean, sum, and then only you should go through this advanced lesson. Otherwise, just knowing one formula for mean would be more than enough, and you should not go in anywhere beyond that. Okay. Now, coming to median. So I'm going to do one question of each, and then I'm going to mix it up. Okay. So that's the idea here. Now, how do you find out your mean? Now, let me bring up those steps quickly, and then I'm going to, kind of show it to you how it works. So let's say, for example, we are given numbers like this: 7, 8, 1, 5, say 3. Okay. If you're given a data set like this, and somebody asks you, hey, find the median of this. Okay. Then to find out the median, I've seen a lot of people just pick the middle value quickly. There's nothing wrong with it, but the first step, which is an important step, and GMAT knows that there's a chance that you might end up forgetting doing it, is arranging the data points. So notice here the data is not arranged in ascending or descending order. That should be a first task. So you should kind of write 1, 3, 5, 7, 8. Okay, arrangement is the first part. Either ascending, descending doesn't matter, but in one order you should do it. If you forget this step, you'll 100% get the incorrect answer. Okay. Now, if you want to find out which out of these 5 would be your median, what you need to do is you need to count the number of terms. How many terms do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 terms. So if you have 5 terms and you want to find out which term is the median, so what you need to do is if the number of terms is odd, which is 5 in this case, then you use the formula n plus 1 by 2th term would be your median. So in this case, if I do n plus 1 by 2, I'll get 3. So I'll say the third term is my median. So in this case, what is my third term? This is my third term. Okay, so 5 would be my median. Okay, so I hope this part is clear. Pretty simple. You arrange it in ascending or descending order. If the number of terms is odd, like in this case, we have 5 terms. So you just do n plus 1 by 2. Whatever number you get, you go to that particular term. So you got 3 here. That means your third term is your median. Now, the number of terms could be even also. Let's say you have 6 terms like this. N is what? N is 6. So if you want to find out your median, what you do is, you notice I've given 6 by 2, which gives you what? Third, right? So the third and 6 by 2 plus 1, which is what? The fourth. So you need to take the average of the third and the fourth term to get the median. So in this case, which is your third and fourth term? This is your third term. This is your fourth term. You simply take the average of that. You get 12 by 2, which is 6. So you'll say the median in this case is going to be 6. Okay, so is there any doubt in the process? If there is any, please feel free to ask. If there are no doubts, then you can try out a sample question. After doing this, I'm pretty sure everything should be perfectly clear. Come on, guys, this is an easy one. What will be the median? Make sure that you follow both these steps. First, you need to arrange it, then count the number of terms. And based on that, you either do the n plus 1 by 2 or n by 2, n by 2 plus 1. Okay, great. I can see all of you are getting 9. So let's try it out very quickly. We have two. Oops, just one sec. Why is my pen not working? Yeah. So we have 2 here, then 5, then 7, then 9, then 10, 11, and 13. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 terms. 7 terms falls in odd category. So what will I do? I'll do n plus 1 by 2. 7 plus 1 by 2, which gives me 4. So my fourth term is going to be my median. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my fourth term. So this is my median and my answer would be C. So it's easy, right? But GMAT knows that you'll be able to do this. So they'll start, adding certain complexities. What about this one? What would you say will be the median in this case? Okay, I have two different answers so far, 8 and 9. What about the others? Okay, Ankita is saying C. Abhijit is also saying C. Okay, a lot of C's. I'm happy and a bit surprised. Usually a lot of people end up telling me E as the answer, and I'm glad that you are not doing that. Um, See, there's a variable x which sometimes creates a confusion. A lot of people think that if there is a x in the set, then we don't know one number, and if we don't know one number, then there is a chance that we may not be able to find out the median. However, this is a trap that is usually set by GMAT. So do one thing, ignore x for a moment, and then you set up everything else. Okay, so you have two ones. So write 1, 1, then 3/8 and 9. Okay, now x needs to go somewhere, I agree. So let's forget about x for a moment. Uh, let's assume it is somewhere. Okay, I'm writing it here, but it could be anywhere, just to be honest. Now count how many terms do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, you have 7 terms. So in this case also, the fourth term is going to be your median. Now, in such scenarios, you always try and in such cases, you check different scenarios. Okay. One of the scenario could be that X is at the extreme end. Okay. X is here. Okay. If X is here, then what would be my median? 1, 2, 3, 4. My median would be 8. Okay. What could be the scenario? X could be the starting. Okay. Will that change anything? Even if it is the starting, or even if it is somewhere here also, to be honest, somewhere here, what would my fourth term be? My fourth term would still be 8, right? Even if it is, say, for example, somewhere in between. Now you may say, hey, what if it is here? Now, if it is somewhere here, remember that we are arranging it in ascending or descending order. So if there is a 8 here, there is a x here, there's a 8 here, then that clearly means that this x has to be 8 only. It cannot be anything else because I'm arranging everything. So x has to be 8, right? So whatever scenario you end up taking, the median will always turn out to be 8. That is why the answer in this case would be C and not E. Okay, so if there's a variable given, just try and place it at a few places and check if you are getting different answers. Only if there's a scenario where you end up getting a different answer, would you say it would be cannot be determined. If you see wherever you place X, you are getting the same answer every time, then obviously that would be your answer. So the learning and takeaway here is that if a set has a variable in it, that doesn't mean that we won't be able to find out the median. There's a good chance that we will be able to do it. And most of the DS questions that you get based on medians fall under this category. Okay. I'll very briefly touch upon mode and range, though you rarely ask any questions on mode. Uh, Mode is simple. Any term that occurs, the most frequently is considered as the mode. So for example, if you look at this set that is given here, in this 7 occurs twice. So my mode would be 7. Okay. There could be multi-modes, but again, in GMAT, you won't be tested on multi-mode. Like there are two terms which are occurring, as frequently as possible. So here the mode would be 9 and 7 both. There obviously could be a case where there's no mode if all the terms are unique. Okay. So if the question stem says that 7 is a mode or something like that, then all you need to understand is that that term is actually occurring the maximum number of times in that particular set. I've just seen one or two questions, good ones in the official guide new version. So I would recommend looking at those questions based on mode. Range is something which you'll still see frequently. And the concept of range is actually pretty easy. So whatever data set is given, you simply take the largest value and you take the smallest value and you subtract it. The value that you get is known as the range. That's all. That's all you need to know about range. This is used directly or indirectly in some maxima-minima questions, which we will discuss. Don't worry about it. But the concept-wise, there's not much to learn out here. Okay. I hope this part is clear to everyone. I'm giving you the third question. Once again, take 2.5 minutes to do this. I'll let you know when the time's up, and then you can, put in your responses in the chat box. In the meantime, if you have any questions, anyone, whatever we have discussed so far, please feel free to ask those questions. So I just saw your message. We'll take this up when we start discussing standard deviation. Um, this is a fairly easy question, and once I'm discussing the formula, I'll take it up. Okay. And guys, you can start posting your answers now. So some just pose this question again once we start discussing standard deviation. I think we have two more questions, then we can go about it. Okay, so Jigyasa is saying C, Pradeep is saying C, Abhijit A, Soham D. Lot of confusion. I'll give it another 30 seconds and then I'll start the discussion. Okay. Okay. So I can see the confusion is between, I think, A and D. Two of you have said C also. Interesting. Interesting. So let's discuss this. Let's see what is the correct answer in this case. So if you notice, the question is almost similar to the one that we were doing before. we have a variable n in this case, okay, and we don't know where to place it. So what you're going to do is ignore n for the moment. And since you're looking for the median, obviously you need to start arranging it. So write 1, 3. In fact, I like to cancel things out once I've written it down. 1, 3, 5, 9, 11. Okay, it was 13, 15, 17, right? 11, 13, 15, 17. So all done. And there's a n that is there. So how many terms do we have out here? We have 3, 6, 8, 9 terms, right? 3, 6, 9 terms, right? So again, this is odd. So if I want to find out my median, you're going to use the formula. Which term would be the median, by the way? You simply do 9 plus 1 by 2th term, which is 5th. So your 5th term would be your median. Now you don't know where your n is. You just know that it is an integer. So what you can do is you can try out a few cases if you want to. That is up to you. For example, you can try and think, if I place n here, what's going to happen? If I place n, what's going to happen? You can do that. But that would, take up some time. So what you can do is you can simply start looking at statements and see which one can help you figure that out. Because you already know the process. We know the process is to make cases. So we'll take up the first statement, and on the basis of the statement, we'll try and see what cases can we create. So here it's given that n is less than 10. Okay. Now, if n is less than 10, try and think where can we place n? So we already have, think in this way, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms here, right? So one case could be that n is equal to 9 itself. Think in this way. Nobody's stopping me from doing that, right? It has to be less than 10. So I can take one case like this. So what will happen is that my median in this case would become 9. Okay. Now think about it. Is there any other case that I can take? Now, if I take anything else, say for example, if I take 8, what's going to happen if I take 8? If I put any value which is some below 9, for example, 8 or 7 or 6 or 5 or 4, whatever you want to take it, the median in those cases also would still be 9. And this is your n, by the way, okay? If just to let you know, this is my n. So those of you who discarded the first statement, those of you saying that the answer is E, or those of you saying the answer is C, which case did you take where you got two different median? Keeping in mind that n is less than 10. Anyone? Manish, this falls between 650 to 700. Those of you saying E, can you think of any case? Is there any case where the median would change? The median would become 11 or anything else? That's not possible, right? You can even visualize it. Think of it in this way. There are 4 terms here, 3 terms here, okay? You can think in this way also. So I need my 5th term to be my median. N cannot be 10. So if if I put n here, somewhere here, anywhere here, the median would turn out to be 9, always. Because there will be 4 terms below it, 4 terms above it. This is my middle term, this is my 5th term. Okay, and this n can hop anywhere, doesn't matter. Okay, and if I have to make sure that n stays where 9 is, then n has to be 9 itself only. Okay, so this tells me that statement 1 is sufficient. Okay. Yeah, there's a good chance that some of you may have assumed n as 10, because of which you might have assumed that statement 1 is not sufficient. But I hope this is clear that statement 1 is sufficient. So you can cancel out options B, C, and E. Your answer has to be either A or D. Okay. Now let's come to the second statement. The range of the above list is 16. Okay, fair enough. Now let me kind of rub all of this just to use the original statement. Okay. Now if I want my range to be 16, and I have to place n. Now notice my 1 and 17. Range is what? Range is basically highest minus the lowest value. And at this point of time, I am already getting 17 minus 1 is equal to 16. Okay, so obviously the n cannot be here. That is for sure. If n is here, then my range would n can be 1. That is possible, but n cannot be minus 1 or 0 or something like that. That's not possible. And n cannot be here also. I cannot have a 20 here or something like this. Not possible, because then again my range would change. So think in this way. If, let's say hypothetically, if n is 1, okay, then in that case my median would be 9. Very good. But I also need to check, is there a possibility of getting some other median also or not? And keep in mind that you're just dealing with statement 2. Forget about statement 1 completely. Okay. So if I'm just looking at statement 2, I can also say now that there's a possibility if, say, for example, if I have 1, 3, 5, 9, 10, 11, 13, 15, 17, right? And my n is 10. So in this case, from statement 2, I can say that I'm getting two different answers. My median could be 10. Okay. My median could be 9. Since I'm getting two different answers from the second statement, this would be not sufficient. So the correct answer in this case is going to be option A. Any doubts? Anything at all, please feel free to. And that's a very good point, Part, by the way. May have overlooked that n is an integer. That's absolutely an important point. If some of you started looking at 9.5 or 9.4, those kind of things, then there is a chance that you will also end up making a mistake and choosing something else. So it is very important that you read it carefully. That you notice when I was reading, I read the word very carefully, that n is an integer. I had in mind that I cannot take any decimal at all. Okay. So I hope, and you can see these are pretty. How are you getting 10? See, I don't know the value of n. So when you're trying to discard a statement, you need to, when will you be able to discard a statement? You'll be able to discard a statement if you can get two different medians. So when I'm looking at statement 2, and when I'm saying that the range is 16, I'm trying to see for which values of n can the range still be 16. So that means my smallest value is still 1, largest value is still 17, and n can be anywhere. Okay, n could be 9, n could be 10, n could be any value. So if n is 9, n is 10, then my median in one case would be 9, and in one case it would be 10. Okay. So see, concepts are pretty simple, right? Range is what? Nothing. Highest minus lowest. And median is also very simple. You just need to look at the middle value. But I hope you can understand how by just inserting one variable in it, you can get multiple cases, multiple scenarios, and that kind of messes things up. So make sure that you consider all possible cases and then only decide if the statement is sufficient or not. And a very good learning has mentioned that you need to make sure that you take care of these portions also, that n is an integer. If you don't do that, there's a good chance you'll end up marking your answer as C or E. Okay, finally coming to the maxima-minima question that I was talking about, which is a mix of everything. Take your time. I'll give you about 3 minutes to do this one, and then we'll start the discussion. In between, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Okay, guys, you can start putting in your responses. Abhijit, this is a 700 level question. I have one answer, which is E. What about the others? Okay. Alok says B. Okay, I have a E, I have a B. I'll give another 30 seconds. By the way, you'll find a variation of this question in the official guide also. The question in the official guide is slightly on the easier side, but um, it's using the similar concept. Before discussing this question also, I'll talk about a small concept that will help you solve such questions. Okay. But I want more responses, guys. It's okay even if you get it wrong. Think of it like a GMAT exam. Yeah, the time's up. You have to decide what you want to mark, what you don't want to mark. So take a calculated guess. Think of it like an exam that, okay, my time's up. I need to choose something. What should I choose? Something like that. Get into the habit of doing that. Okay, two B's, one E. I've given you about 5 minutes, so let's start. A lot of B's. Now I can see a lot of people are marking a lot of B's. So let's see how to go about solving this question. Now, before I go too deep into this question, there's something which I want to discuss. Again, might seem trivial, but let's say if I give you an example like this, 2, 2, 2, 3, 5. Okay, fairly simple 5 terms. The median would be 5 plus 1 by 2, which is the third term, right? Uh, so why did I take this? In fact, let's write it like this, something like this. Okay, this should cover all cases. Now, I'm taking this example to, point out a small thing, important observation in case of median. Okay. Now, here the median is 2, right? Now, median is the middle term. Again, I'm stating all obvious things I know, but please bear with me. What I want you to do is observe all the terms that are below it and observe all the terms that are above it. Okay. I've arranged it in ascending order, right? Smallest to largest. What I want you to observe is that all the terms that are below it, okay, these values that you have here, they can either be less than or equal to the median. Okay, so for example, 2 is equal to the median, 1 is less than the median. Okay, all the terms that are above the median would either be greater than or equal to the median. Okay, it's a very minor observation, but it's a very important one, especially when you are trying to maximize or minimize the number of terms in a particular set. Okay, so and you'll understand this more when I start solving this question. But keep this in mind. Okay, make a note of it. That anything that is less than the median, any terms that are below the median, will either be less than or equal to. All the terms that are above it would either be greater than or equal to the median. Okay. Now, with that small thing in mind, a little part in mind, let's read the question and try and see what's it talking about. So it's given that Amy cut a 495 centimeter long stick into maximum possible number of pieces such that each length is an integer. So I'm highlighting the important things. In the exam, you ideally should jot this down, write down these words like, okay, the total length is 495, number of pieces, okay, they are maximum, and each are integer. Each piece's length of each piece is an integer. So kind of in a shorthand, write these things so that you don't have to go back to the question stem again and read it. Okay. Now, while cutting the pieces, she kept the following constraints in mind. Fine. The median length of the pieces should be 60 centimeter. Okay. Now they're talking about the median. So median is the middle term, right? 60 here. There are some terms above it, some terms below it. You don't know how many terms are there. Okay. The longest piece is 13 times the shortest piece of the stick. Okay, so I don't know how many terms are there in between. So I'm putting some dots out here saying there are some terms out here. Let's say this is my shortest length of the shortest stick is A. So the length of the longest stick, let's say longest stick would be 13 times A. Okay, that is something which I'll jot down. Now, if the longest piece is 195 centimeters, now that's great for me. Now they're actually telling me the value of 13A. So I can write 13A is equal to 195, and I can divide both sides by 13 to get my value as 15. So I know my smallest value is 15. My largest value is 195. Okay. Now the pieces is cut into odd number of pieces. Now this is a very, again, might seem like a trivial information, but when they tell me that the pieces are cut into odd number of pieces, what does that mean? Now let's go back to the previous example. Here, there are odd number of terms, right? 5 terms. So I can see, right, if this is my median, there are 2 terms below it, 2 terms above it, and there's 1 term in between, right? So the number of terms below it and the number of terms above it is the same. And I can say that the total number of terms is 2 times 2 plus 1, right? This is basically the generic form of 2n plus 1. Odd numbers are represented by 2n plus 1. So here I can say that the number of terms below the median is n, and the number of terms above the median is n, and obviously there's 1 term which is the median. So the total number of sticks is basically 2 times n plus 1. Okay. I need to find out what is the average length of these pieces. Now here they have inserted mean in the question. So how do you find out your mean or average? Mean would be the total length. I know my total length, which is 495, divided by the number of sticks. How many sticks do I have? I have 2n plus 1. So I need the value of n. Okay. So now notice what all information have I used so far. I have used the information of 495. I have used the information of the odd number of pieces. But the information that I haven't used yet is maximum number of pieces, and each need to be an integer. So that is still left. Now this is where the concept that I was talking about before will come into picture. But I'll pause here for a moment because I've been doing a monologue for a long time. So if there's any question, please feel free to ask. I'll wait for 10-15 seconds. If there's any doubt, anything at all, let me know. If not, then I'll go to the next part of the explanation. No doubt? Okay. Okay, intelligent investor saying didn't understand the 2n plus 1 part. Okay, see, they're saying that the number of pieces, the total number of pieces is odd. How do you represent an odd number? An odd number is represented by 2n plus 1. And I give you an example here also, right? The total number of terms here is how much? 5. 5 can be written as what? 2n plus 1. It can be written, right? 2 into 2 plus 1, right? The main point that I want you to highlight on is not 2n plus 1. What you need to focus is that the number of terms below the median, number of terms, okay? This 2 is the number of terms, is below the median, and the number of terms above the median is the same. Okay. Now in this question, I don't know how many terms are below it, how many terms are above it. So I'm assuming it to be n. So if there are n terms below it, n terms above it, and median obviously is there, so the total number of terms would turn out to be 2n plus 1. Aditi, intelligent investor, is this part clear? I got this 2n plus 1 from the fact that their total number of terms are odd, number of pieces are odd. So for example, there are 5 pieces or 7 pieces or 10 pieces. And if my median is 60, so there will be n pieces below the median, n pieces above the median. Okay. Now, how do I find out my n? Now, tell me one thing, that if you are given, the number 5, and I'm asking you to divide it into maximum number of terms, each being a positive integer. Okay. What value would you take for each integer? Okay. Yeah. And how many pieces would you take? It has to be a positive integer. What value would you take? You need to divide 5 into the different number of pieces. 5 is a number. You need to divide it into different pieces such that the sum of this should be 5 and it should be a positive integer, but you need to divide it into maximum number of pieces. So what value would you prefer taking? Would you do 3 plus 2 is equal to 5, or would you do 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1 equal to 5? How would you like to break down so that I have a maximum number of parts? What would you do? Simple question, but relevant in this case. What's the best way to break it down? One each, right? That's the simplest answer. The best way is to break it into ones, right? So if you have a particular sum and if you want to break it down into maximum parts, the best is to break it down into the lowest value possible within the constraint. So the constraint is a positive integer in this case. Okay. Now, what are the constraints that we have for the terms that are below median? Let me write it here. Below median. What is the condition out here? See, I just told you that any term that is below the median is less than or equal to the median, all the terms that are less than or equal to the median. And since the smallest value is 15, all the value which are above it, so the values in between, let's put a few, 1, 2, 3, let's put some number. All these values, they have to be greater than or equal to the smallest value. Now I cannot put a 14 here, right? Not possible. If I put 14 here, this won't be in ascending order. So the minimum value that I can put is 15 and the maximum that I can put is 60. Okay. So all the values in between is bound by this range. I hope this part is clear. Now tell me, if you want maximum number of pieces, would you break down pieces into 15, 15, or would you prefer to break down this into 60, 60? What would you prefer doing? What would you do? What would be the length of these sticks? Would you prefer the length of these sticks to be 15, or would you prefer the length of these sticks to be 60? Keeping in mind that I need maximum number of pieces. Come on, guys, what would be the answer? 15. Great. Right? Because I want maximum number of pieces. If I want maximum number of pieces, I would want to break it down into as small values as possible. So all of these values that are below the median, all the n terms that are here, n terms, I would prefer all of them to be 15 because I want to maximize it. Okay. Now think about this. All the values which are above the median, okay, their value would be either greater than or equal to the median or less than or equal to the highest value. I cannot have a 196 here, right? Because then this won't be in ascending order. So now again, think in the same logic. What values would I prefer to put here? I want to maximize my number of pieces. So should I put 60, 60, 60, 60, or should I put 195, 195, 195? What would make more sense if I want more number of pieces? So why will the median change? I'm fixing I have 60 in between only. I'm not changing it. I'm not, it's still in the middle. I'm saying all the n terms which are below it would be 15. And as pointed out by Manish, Intelligent Investor, and Anish, all the values here would be 60 logically. Okay. So that is the concept that I was talking about here, that using this logic that all the terms below the median would be less than equal to the median and greater than equal to the smallest value, and all the term out here would be greater than equal to the median and less than equal to the greatest value, is important when you're maximizing and minimizing questions. Okay, now what is the sum of all these lengths? The sum is already given to me. It has been given to me as 495. So all I need to do now is add all of this up. So I have 15 n's. Okay, so I can say 15 times n plus 60 plus. Now there are n terms here. Okay, but one of the term is 195 and the remaining terms, n minus 1 terms, is basically 60. So 60 times n minus 1 plus 195 should be equal to 495. Okay, there are 15 n's, so I did 50n. The median is 60, so I wrote my 60. There are n terms above the median, of which one of them is 195, and the remaining term, n minus 1 terms, are 60. So you'll get 15n plus 60, you multiply it, 60n minus 60. You take this to the other side, you will get 300 plus 60 minus 60 gets cancelled out. You get 75n is equal to 300, or n is equal to 4. Now, once you have n equal to 4, you can plug 4 here. Okay, this will give you the number of sticks is 9. You put 9 here, and then you'll get your answer as 55. So the correct answer in this case is option A. Now see, this took us some time to do it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. But what you need to remember is the crux. Once you understand the crux properly of this question, any question which is based on maxima-minima, maximizing, minimizing of median, follows the same principle. Nothing else. That the value less than the median would be less than or equal to, anything above would be greater than or equal to. Soham, I hope now this is clear. What about the others? Aditi, Intelligent Investor, Manish, is this okay? Any doubt, please feel free to ask, guys. By the way, just a small request: if you're liking the session, I would request you to press the like button on the YouTube channel. It would help us reach this video to a lot of people, other people also. Okay. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, guys. I'll be more than happy to answer. Please explain, why did you take n minus 1? Okay, Rohan, think in this way. If there are, hypothetically, if there are, say, 10 terms here, okay, 10 terms, and one of the term is 195, and the remaining term is 60, all the remaining term from here, how many terms will I have here? One of the term is 195. Won't I be left with 10 minus 1, 9 terms? Won't I say 9 terms are 60? So that is the same thing I've written in a generic form. If there are total n terms, okay, out of n terms, one of them is 195. So I wrote it like as is. And the remaining terms are n minus 1. So all of these are 60. So I'll simply do 60 times n minus 1. Okay. Okay. How did you find the total 2 times? See, it's very easy. See, the total number of terms is 2n plus 1. Okay. So, and how did we figure that out? We told that there are n terms below it, n terms above it, and there's one term in between. So the total number of terms is 2n plus 1. Total number of terms. And I found out the value of n from here. I got the value of n as 4. So I just needed to plug this value to find out the total number of terms, sticks, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. I just plugged in 4 here and I got my answer as 9. Is this clear? What if the question asks for even number of pieces? If what if the question asks about even number of pieces, then also you don't have a problem, because in that case you'll have to discard, you'll have to take up two okay, even if they give you even number of pieces, then in those cases just block these two, and post that also you'll have n number of terms here, n number of terms here. Okay, the logic doesn't change. Understand this. By the way, I haven't seen a question which deals with even number, but even if it comes, that's not a problem. Okay, the principle would still remain the same, barring the middle two term. Anything that is less than that would less than those would this would be less than or equal to the median, and this would be greater than or equal to the median. This is still going to work. Okay. Any other questions, anyone? Yeah, it's a good question. It's like one of my favorites. In fact, there is one question like this in the boosters also, booster lessons of statistics, which is a slight variation of this one. You can take a screenshot of this question if you want to and try it at home if you want to. This is kind of based along the same lines. Okay. And those of you who are students who are attending this session, this obviously is in your booster lessons. So you can go through that and look at the variation of this question also. In this question, we are trying to find out the maximum value of this term, of the term. Here we were trying to find out the number of terms, right? Here we were dealing with n. In this question, this variation, you're trying to find out the largest value of this particular set, which is again a good question worth trying out. Okay, let's look at one question which is based on mode. Again, a very interesting question. Those of you have done this one, I would give you about 2 minutes. In fact, there's no calculation. It's just inference based. 2 minutes should be more than enough. I would disagree here. See, understand this fact that the question while discussion will always seem time consuming. It will seem time consuming because I have to explain each and every, part of that question to you to make you understand why everything is happening. But if you just look at the calculation, what have I done? I have hardly done anything. I've done 1 step, 2 step, 3, 4. If you call this a step, 5 step, there are 5 steps only. And this part, as I told you, is a very common kind of, variation of this question, which after doing statistics properly, you should be, kind of used to this thing. The moment you see this, you'll know what to maximize, what to minimize. So this may take you 1 minute. Honestly, even let's say if you're doing in the initial days, the calculation would take you 1.5 minutes, not more than that. And it's worth giving 2.5 minutes to a 700 plus level questions. Worth it. Especially if this kind of question comes in your first 15, you would want to get these questions correct. Okay, so try this one. And Jigyasa, this is question number 5, and I'll do one more question on standard deviation 6, and then we'll be done. So 2 more questions. So that's not a silly question. But see, it depends. Depends on the kind of question that you're doing and at which stage are you doing that question. So in the exam, in the first 15 questions, ideally we ask you to spend sufficient amount of time, 2.5 minutes also, if to try the question and see if you can get the answer correct or not. Because strategy wise, the first 15, 16 questions in quant are very important. Okay, so if after 2.5, worst case, say 3 minutes also, if you're not able to do the question, then obviously you should drop it, because no sense doing it anymore. Okay, but post the 15 questions, when 16 questions, when you're in like in 24, 25th question, there we ask you to be a bit more picky and choosy. So after 1.5 minutes, if you feel that you're not able to do the question, you can skip it. This is under the assumption that you are running out of time. Okay, that's why I said it's not a easy question to answer. Depends on different situations. Okay, I have 3 C's. I'll wait for another 30 seconds and then I will start the discussion. I missed a few chats. Let me go back very quickly. In the meantime, you can still give me your answers. Pradeep is saying mean has to be odd or divide by divide. Pradeep, uh, aren't you saying this under the assumption that the mean would be an even number? Mean would be an integer, my bad. Aren't you saying this based on this factor? The mean could be something else also, right? Does it necessarily has to be a integer? Okay, I can see. Okay, a lot of C's. Okay, guys, this is an official guide question, similar to an official guide question, a very good one. As I told you, there's just one question in the official one, which is good based on mode. So I don't think the answer is C, as far as I remember. So let's very quickly look at it. Okay, a certain list S contains a total of P integers. Okay, not necessarily distinct. Okay, so here they're saying there are certain number of terms and they don't have to be listing. So I could have a list like this also, not a problem. Something like this, where terms are not distinct. And these are arranged in increasing order, where fair and good, the way I've written it, it's going in the increasing order. If S1 is the list consisting of the first P1 integers, okay, so out of S, let's say there are some terms out here. Okay, there are total P terms. S1 is consists of the first P1 integer. So this is say S1. I know it's vague, but I like to visualize it in this way. S1 is the list consisting of the first P1 integers in S, and S2 is the list consisting of the last P2 integers in S. Now, keep in mind till this point, nowhere is it given that first and last add up to give P. What I mean by that is, let's say if there are 10 integers, okay? So there's a possibility that S1 could be just the first four integers and S2 could be just the last four integers also. Okay. And there could be two terms in between also. It is possible, just letting you know. So don't think that if they're saying S1 has P1 integers, S2 has P2, there's no chance that there can't be anything in between. There is a possibility it could be. There could obviously be other possibility like this, that there are 5 terms in S1 and 5 terms in S2, and the sum of it is equal to 10. Just giving you numbers to help you understand what this is saying. Now, the question is asking, is 9 a mode for S? Okay. Now, if I've already told you the definition of mode. Mode means the maximum number of times it is occurring. Now, based on this, there are two scenarios. One scenario could be that there are some terms in between also, and there could be a scenario where there are no terms in between and uh, there are total equal number of terms or something like that of in S1, S2. If not equal also, that's fine. It could be unequal, but the point is that S1 plus S2 would, the number of terms P1 plus P2 would be equal to P. There's a scenario like this. And there's a scenario like this also where P1 plus P2 is less than P. 4 plus 4 is less than 10. Is this part clear? Please, just a quick yes, so that I can very quickly discuss this. Move ahead. Okay, I have two more answers. Santosh is saying A, Intelligent is saying E. Yeah, Pradeep, but you're assuming that 495 by odd will give me odd, but the assumption that you're making is that after division, you'll get an integer. That's not necessary. That is why there are a few options which are non-integer also. So I could have, 495 by 39 or something like that, which might give me some other weird number. Just giving a random example. Okay, so I can see this part is clear to everyone. So let me come back to the discussion. Now, 9 is the mode of S1. So the mode of this is 9. So there are a lot of terms which are 9. Okay. 9 is the mode of S2. Now, this is very interesting. Think about it in this way. 9 is the mode of S2 also. Okay. 9 is the mode of S1. And I've written 3 nines randomly. Okay. There could be more, there could be less. I don't know. But think about it. If I want to find out the mode of the whole term, let's look at the first scenario. Okay. If I have 9 is the mode of this. 9 is the mode of this. And even if there are certain terms in between, okay, what would be those terms? Can I have a 10 here? Can I have a 10, 11 in between? Answer this question. If you can answer this question, you have understood what I'm trying to talk about. So for example, can I have something like this? 1, 2, 9, 9, 9, 10, 11. Then again, I'm getting this is S1, okay? This is S1. Then again, I have a 9, 9, 10, 11, something like this. This is S2. Is this possible? If not, why? If yes, why? Alok is saying no. It's not possible, right? Because we are setting everything in ascending order. This is very important. It's in increasing order. Okay. So if there are nines in S2 also, there are nines in S1 also, and I'm writing this in increasing order, I cannot have a 9, 10 in between. So even if there are terms in between, those terms in between have to be 9 only. They cannot be anything else. Okay, those of you marked C as the answer, you fell for this trap. You did not, think that even if the terms are moving in increasing order, there's no chance whatever is in between could be anything, could be, 10 or 11. There's no chance of it. So even if I take this case where there are certain terms in between, then also my mode is going to be 9. Okay. And if I take a case like this where there's no term in between, then obviously, like a case like this, like say this is S1 and this is S2. If I combine this where there's no term in between, then obviously in this case also, which is case 2, in this case, my mode would still be 9. Okay. So it doesn't matter if there's any term in between or not. My answer would still be 9. And that is why this is sufficient. And obviously, this is a trap statement. There's no use of it. You cannot do anything with it. So this is not sufficient. So the correct answer in this case is option A. Is this clear? Yes, Abhijit, it is possible. But even in that case, understand, I do not go into that case. But even if P1 plus P2 is less than P, then also you have sufficient number of nines. Na? In that case, also you'll have nines only. Because even if you combine both of them, you'll still be left with, even if you overlap this, think of it in this way, even if there's some overlap, and if I bring this together, like let's say these two nines are an overlap, okay? Even if I remove it, I'll still have 1, 2, 9, 9, 9, 10, 11. So my mode would still remain 9. That's a good question, but I hope it's clear why. If it is not in increasing order, then yes, the answer would be C only, because in that case, I could have some terms in between where the mode would change. There's a possibility, yes. Yeah, indeed, that's a good question. P1 plus P2 can be less than P. Like for example, you have 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. S1 could be the first 3 terms. S22 could be the last 4 terms. So there would be an overlap. So in this case, P1 plus P2, wait just one sec. P is greater, right? So P1 plus P2, just one sec. I thought Abhijit is talking about an overlap. Oh, I think Abhijit, you wanted to say the other way around, right? P1 plus P2 is greater than P. Is that what you wanted to talk about? Because what I am talking about is that I'm talking about when P1 plus P2 is greater than P. Is that what you wanted to talk about? Because I've already discussed P1 plus P2 is this case I've already discussed here. The case that I'm discussing now is a case where if I add something, if there's an overlap in between, even in that case also, the mode would still remain the same. Yeah, I got it. So the sign is different. It would be greater. It will not be less. The sign that you've given is wrong. But I understood that is the term that you might be talking about because I've already discussed 2 cases. And this is a question which is there in official guide. I would recommend, trying that out also. There's some difference in the data and everything. So definitely you should go through it. Okay, guys, very quickly we'll come to standard deviation. Okay, because we are running out of time and I have about 10 minutes with me. So I'll be very quick. See, oh, my bad. There was a question on standard deviation. Okay, um, do this question, then we'll do the discussion. Try this question, and then I'll talk about standard deviation. I'll give you 2 minutes to do this. Yes, it would be A, the last question. The answer of the last question would still be A. This is the last question of the day, guys. Again, a very interesting one, purely conceptual. AP is indirectly involved in this. Okay, I can see 2 C's. Last 30 seconds, and then I'll start the discussion. Once again, this is purely conceptual. Honestly speaking, not a lot of calculation is needed in this question. Obviously, the concept behind it is something which I'll discuss elaborately. But once you know how standard deviation works, it would be very easy for you to solve this question. It is an increasing order, I understand. I'm assuming you're asking about the previous question. Um, Nowhere is it given in the question stem that no numbers are left after dividing in S1 and S2. If you look at the question stem, it simply says first 3, last, first P1, last P2, that's all, or S1, S2, whatever that was given. But they're not saying that the sum of those two, P1 plus P2, would be equal to P only. That is something that is not given. So you should not assume something like that. Like as I gave the example now, out of first, if I have 10 terms, I can always say the first 3 and the last 4. There will still be 3 terms in between. Okay, just because I'm saying first 3, last 4 doesn't mean that the sum has to be the same. Okay. Okay, so let's very quickly discuss this question. And I'll give you a brief understanding of, this question is based on standard. Somebody mentioned that is a question of AP, but this is the concept that I'm going to teach you is applicable almost everywhere. Okay. Now, keep one thing in mind that the formula of standard deviation is not tested on the GMAT. Okay. Knowing if you want to learn it, that's totally fine, but it won't be tested. But I'm going to use it here. So the concept that I'm going to teach you is I'm going to show you what happens, what is the pattern of standard deviation when it comes to consecutive integers. Okay, first understand this and then you'll be able to understand the concept of arithmetic progression also. So let's say if I give you 5 terms, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, and I ask you find the standard deviation of this. So the process of finding the standard deviation is very easy. You first of all find out the mean, okay, and then if you want to find out the standard deviation, what you do is, and I'm writing it here, you take each term and you subtract the mean from it and you square it. Take the difference, subtract from and square it, and divided by the number of terms. So here if the mean is 3, 3 minus 1 is 2, so 2 square. 3 minus 2 is 1, so 1 square. 3 minus 3 is 0, so 0 square. 3 minus 4 again 1 square. 3 minus 5 again 2 square. Total number of terms is 5 and we end up getting root 2. Okay. Notice here that I've taken 5 consecutive integers. I've taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can anyone tell me if I change this, if I change the numbers to 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, will my standard deviation change? Will my standard deviation change in this case? I have 5 consecutive integers here also. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Will my standard deviation change? Yes, no. My question is, will it change or not? And don't try to solve it, okay? I just want you to, take a logical guess. Okay, Abhinav, Rohan, both of you are saying no. It's actually correct. The standard deviation doesn't change. The mean obviously would change. If you add all of this, you'll get the mean as 15. But understand the difference is still the same. 15 minus 13 is 2, 15 minus 14 is 1, and so on and so forth. So the point that I'm trying to put across is, and the value is still the same, okay? So the point that I'm putting across is that if I know the standard deviation of 5 integers is root 2, this is valid for any 5 integers. Okay, any 5 consecutive integers. You don't have to worry about it. The value will always be root 2. Okay. And you can extend this. You can extend this logic. I've taken 5 integers. What happens if I take 4 consecutive integers? Okay. In this case, obviously the standard deviation would be different from the standard deviation of 5. In case of the standard deviation of 5 consecutive integers, I got root 2. In case of 4 consecutive integers, I got 1.25, root over 1.25. But if in this case also keep in mind, if I change these 4 consecutive integers to something else also, doesn't matter, my answer would still be 1.25. Now, if you're wondering why am I telling all of this, what is the reason behind this? The takeaway I want you to keep from here is that in case of consecutive integers, the standard deviation, if you notice, is not dependent on the value of integers. Okay. And the standard deviation is constant for a particular set of integers. So for 5 set of consecutive integers, the standard deviation will always be root 2. For 4 set of consecutive integers, I'm not writing the word consecutive integers, it will always be 1.2 root over 1.25. For a set of 6 consecutive integers, there'll be a same value every time. It doesn't change at all. Okay. And what are consecutive integers? Consecutive integers are integers where the difference is of 1, right? So if you want, you can extend this logic to arithmetic progression also. Okay. In arithmetic progression, what happens? Each term has a common same difference. So like in this case, what is the common difference? The common difference is of 2. Now, if I say there's an increasing AP in which the difference of consecutive terms is 2 and it consists of 5 terms, if I have these 2 information with us, okay, it doesn't matter what term I take. It doesn't matter. The standard deviation will always remain the same, and that is what I wanted to show you here. Notice I took 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, all common difference 2. The standard deviation is same. I took 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. The common difference is same. The standard deviation in both the cases is same. So what's the takeaway here? The major takeaway, I've written it here, but I want to write it down here is, in case of consecutive integers, okay, consecutive integers, you just need to know the number of terms. Like for example, if I tell you there are 5 consecutive integers, you can easily find out the standard deviation and say that it is going to be root 5. Okay. And it is vice versa also. Okay. Please keep in mind, if I tell you that the standard deviation is root 5, say for example, okay, root 5 or root 2, whatever, say root 2, then you can also figure out the number of terms. So it works both ways. If I tell you the number of terms is 5, I don't tell you which are those terms, doesn't matter. You can find out the standard deviation. Okay. If I tell you the standard deviation of consecutive terms is root 2, then you can figure out the number of terms also. Okay. In case of arithmetic progression, you need 2 information. You need the number of terms and you also need the common difference. Why do I need the common difference? Because in case of consecutive integers, I know the difference is of always 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The difference is always 1. But in arithmetic progression, the difference could be anything. It could be 2, it could be 3, it could be 4. So if I know the number of terms, if I know the common difference, I can find out the standard deviation on that case also. I don't care what those terms are. Okay. Please, tell me if this part is clear or not. This is slightly complicated, I know, but if there's any doubt, please let me know. So it's pretty simple. If the number of terms is given, you can find out the standard deviation. If the standard deviation is given, you can find out how many consecutive terms are there. If you know the number of terms and common difference, you can easily find out the standard deviation. Okay. With this understanding, we'll solve this question pretty quickly. So what is given here? In a finite sequence, after the first term, I don't know what my first term is. Each term is 2 more than its previous term. So this tells me that the common difference, the difference between each of the terms is the same. 2, 2, 2. So this is common difference. Okay. I need to find out the first term of the sequence. Okay, let's look at the first statement. The first statement is the last term is 19. Okay. I know the last term is 19. But I don't know how many terms are there, right? I don't know how many terms are there. I'm not sure from where is it starting. Okay, since I don't know how many terms are there, I cannot figure out what would be my first term. Think about it. If my last term is 19, I can go, back also if I want to, -2, 15, 13. But where do I stop? What is my first term? I don't know. It could be 13. It could be 11. If I don't know the number of terms, I will not be able to figure out my answer. So I'll say statement 1 is not sufficient. And see, I'm not doing a lot of calculation. This is more inference based, that I don't know the number of terms. Just knowing the last term won't help me. If you know the formula of AP, some of you might even use this. This is the formula for the last term. Tn is equal to a plus n minus. If you don't know it, not a problem. We have logically derived that this is not possible. But if you look at it, to find out a, you need n and d. You know d is 2, but you don't know n. Since you don't know n, you cannot find out a. That is also one way of saying statement 1 is not sufficient. Okay, either logically or mathematically, using a mathematical equation. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Notice that they have told you that the standard deviation is root 40. See, you know the standard deviation. You know the common difference is 2. What can you do with this? Think about it. Let's go back once again. See, if I knew the number of terms, if I knew the common difference, I could find out the standard deviation. So there were 3 entities involved: number of terms, common difference, and standard deviation. If I'm given two of the things, 2 entities, if I'm given, I can find out the third. Now in this case, notice that in this question, standard deviation is given, common difference is given. So this can help me find out what? Can anyone tell me? What can this help me find out? Correct, exactly. We can have the number of terms. So my n, I can find out n. See, you don't have to solve it. As I told you, in GMAT, you don't necessarily need to solve these. You can directly infer. That is more than enough. So you can say from statement 2, you can find out the number of terms. What is the number of terms? What is it? You don't have to worry about it. Okay. But is statement 2 alone sufficient? It is not, right? Because let's say, even if I figure out that there are 6 terms, what will I do with it? I don't know from where to start or where to end. So even this statement is not sufficient. But look at it, no calculation. I just saw root 40. I just saw common difference, and I could infer. I can find out number of terms. Done. Now, when I combine both these statements, then I can get my answer, because statement 2 is giving me n. If statement 2 gives me n, I can figure out this. So the correct answer in this case is going to be option C. So as you can see, these are all 700 level difficult questions. But if you understand these concepts really well, you can solve these questions very quickly within 2 minutes. And these 700 level questions, if you can solve within 2 minutes, like that's an achievement. That would be a really good thing. So if you have any doubt, any questions in these, please feel free to ask. Any questions? If no, then we will end the session. No questions? Okay, great. I don't see any more questions. So guys, that's it from my end. I'm sharing the details of, you can see the email ID and support ID. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us. I'm also sharing my Calendly link once. In case if you want to talk to us, get in touch with us, you can use this link to talk to us. I would highly encourage to look at a free trial also, those of you haven't. And if you like the way, if you like the session, if you want to know more about it, I would highly recommend looking at the course once. In between, if you, in the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I am there for some time, for 5 minutes. I'll be more than happy to take up any questions. And once again, if you like the session, I would request you to please like the video once on YouTube. Yes, these are recorded. So once I end the session, you should be able to access it post that only. Intelligent investor, you can set up a call with us. I've already given the Calendly link. If you have any confusion between any of the courses that you're currently trying out, we can help you decide which one would make sense for you. Okay, so you can use the Calendly link that I shared, book a call with us, and then we can discuss this in detail. Where are you currently at? What are you doing? What are your needs and how we can cater to it? If you want to know, so we have our a session on critical reasoning tomorrow. So I would highly recommend, registering for it. I'm sharing the link for it for critical reasoning. There's a webinar tomorrow. I would highly encourage you to look at that. So there are various costs depending on your needs. So for example, we have different kind of plans, 2 months, 4 months, or 6 months plan. I'm sharing the link of that also. You can take a look at the plans once. So this is the plan, basic plan. We do offer private tutoring also. So if you need any help related to quant, if you're struggling with it and you want to take a few sessions with me or anyone of our experts at GMAT Quiz, definitely, look at the private tutoring options also. And if you have any other questions, guys, please feel free to ask, okay? Regarding a GMAT prep and everything. Okay. And here's the link of our private tutoring plan also. Okay. But if there's any confusion at all, I would recommend booking a call. The Calendly link is there. Just book a call. Let's discuss where you are, at which stage you are in your prep, and what should be done. What's the best way for you to prepare? Okay. And the email ID is already shown on the screen. If you have any questions, I don't see any questions on the screen, so I'm ending the session now. But feel free to ask any doubts at all. Okay, I have a 460. Do you recommend tutoring for me? Depends, intelligent investor. So if you have a 460, where are you currently? How comfortable are you with quant? How comfortable are you with verbal? When do you plan to, take the GMAT? So for example, if you plan to take it very quickly and you want to improve, as fast as possible, then obviously we would recommend taking tutoring, so that the mentor can help you very quickly and understand where your gaps are, and the improvement is faster if somebody is constantly in touch with you. And say if you have a lot of time and if you can self-prepare, let's say for example you have 6 months, you want to take the GMAT 6 months or 4 months down the line, and you can prepare on your own. If you can spend time, then you can look at the basic plan also. I would recommend looking at the basic plan. try and see if you can study on your own. A lot of students are able to prepare on their own. So if you can spend 4 to 6 months, then try out the basic plans. And if you need tutoring, then post that you can see which topics, which areas you still need tutoring, and then you can take 2 to 3 tutoring classes accordingly. You don't have to buy the whole package. Yes, I will be sharing the video so you can take a look at it. In case after looking at the video, also if you have a problem, just comment it in the video, right? In the comment section, and I'll be more than happy to discuss it with you. So we get notifications for all your chats, and we'll reply to them. Okay. An intelligent investor, I'm honestly speaking, you should, just discuss it elaborately. In my opinion, discuss it elaborately with us and then decide what would make sense for you. So, because whatever you are telling me now, I'm giving you a high level idea what should be done. But I've shared the Calendly link. Book a call, let's have a 10-15 minutes discussion, and then based on that, you can take a call which would make more sense for you. Okay. Okay, guys, I'm ending the session now. Have a great day then. Bye.